afternoon. I call to order this meeting of the Washington County Board of Education. We do have a quorum of members present. At this time, Board Member Linda Murray will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have approval of this afternoon's agenda.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. All those in favor of this afternoon's agenda? Okay, we're unanimous. Student member concurs. And we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
Madam President, I move for the approval of the closed session minutes dated Tuesday, June 19th, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Gessert. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Are there any additions or corrections to that set of minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All in favor of approval? Those are the closed session minutes. Okay, so we have 6-0.
Madam President, I move for the second approval of the business meeting minutes dated the same day, Tuesday, June 19th, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Gessert. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Any additions or corrections to the business meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor? Okay, 6-0. Student member concurs.
And finally, I move for the approval of the compliance checklist meetings dated Wednesday, June 20th, 2018.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. All those in favor? Okay, 6-0. Student member concurs. Okay, this is the portion of the meeting where we have public comment. I have one individual who has signed up to speak, and anyone else who has not had an opportunity to sign up on the sheet that had been in the rear, you're welcome to let me know at that time or at a time coming here that you would wish to address the board. Before I call the first person I have on the list, I'd like to read from Board Policy KD. This is under procedures for our business meetings. Each person wishing to address the Board of Education is encouraged but not required to sign up prior to the meeting and may address any topic concerning Washington County Public Schools except personnel or student matters which clearly identify an individual or individuals. Each speaker may speak for up to 5 minutes. Mr. Bickford is our timekeeper, and he has some signs. I'll let you explain those, Mr. Bickford.
So when you have 30 seconds left, we hold up the yellow, and then red means to wrap it up.
So at this time, I'd like to invite Molly Murdoch to come forward. Good afternoon, Molly.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Molly, and I will be a second grader in the magnet program at Boonesboro Elementary School. Recently, Governor Larry Hogan passed a law that allows kids to bring and put on sunscreen while at school without a doctor's note. This law also encourages public schools to educate students on sun safety and requires each county to write a policy using sunscreen during school. According to the Centers for Disease Control, one bad sunburn in childhood will double the risk of skin cancer later in life. The most dangerous time of day is where the sun's rays are the strongest, is between 10 and 2. Students are typically at school when the sun's rays are the strongest. Recess and other activities during midday will put students at risk. Fortunately, most skin cancers can be prevented. I am here today to be an advocate for kids my age. I am asking the school board to enact a county-wide policy to help students feel safe and comfortable using sunscreen during school hours. The policy should follow the recommendations on when sunscreen should be applied. The policy could say something like this. Teachers will allow 5 minutes for students to apply sunscreen, 15 to 20 minutes prior to going outside for recess or other school activities. Sunscreen should be provided by students and their families. Also, hats and sunglasses should be worn. It would be great to hear teachers remind students to grab hats and sunglasses prior to going outside. I have made a display that shows the CDC rates of melanoma. If you look closely, you will see how skin cancer increases as we get older, probably because skin wasn't protected when they were younger. I am hoping that WCPS will help kids protect themselves now so as we get older, our chance of skin cancer diminishes. I am also starting a GoFundMe drive to raise money to buy new hats, sunglasses, and if parents' approval, sunscreen for students that may not be able to afford these sun protection items. This drive is called KISP. Kids in school need sun protection. My goal is to raise $500 by the end of summer. I would be interested in working with WCPS to raise awareness of the new law to students, teachers, and parents. I look forward to working with WCPS to protect students from skin cancer. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Molly, at this time, we're not able to ask you questions or to respond to you, but in just a few minutes, board members will have the opportunity to do that. So I would ask that you stick around, okay?
Okay.
Thank you for a very compelling presentation.
Do I take my board down?
Absolutely. At this time, is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Okay. Colleagues, board member response to public comment? Mrs. Fisher?
That was a very nice presentation, and I want to assure you, as chairman of the policy committee, we will be looking at that. We are already aware of the new law, and we will be taking care of that. And I don't know, we'll have to check with the superintendent and with Aaron, but maybe once we pass it, we can get your picture or something included with it. Maybe the newspaper, if she's back there, would do something. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to say I'm one of those people that when I walk outside in 2 minutes, I'm thoroughly burned. So I appreciate you taking steps to encourage us and encourage everyone to be better protected against the sun. That was very compelling.
I just want to say, excuse me, thank you very much for coming. You didn't seem nervous at all. I would have been a nervous wreck, but you did such a great job. I'm so impressed by your presentation and all of the information that you gave us. Thank you so very much.
I will say that was a very nice presentation, and I do get text messages from people in the community, and I received two, finally someone with common sense with a show and tell, and another one, bravo. So congratulations, it was well received. Good job. Thanks, Mom, for bringing her. Yeah, good job, Molly.
Okay. Molly, I also serve on the policy committee, and I want you to know that I heard your suggestions, and I think you had some fine ones there, and I think somewhere in the future you may be doing some policy writing. I can see that you would be very good at that sort of thing, and I agree with Mrs. Murray. You were quite composed, and you did a very effective presentation. So thank you for coming out and speaking about the law, and we will take into consideration all of what you said. So thank you so much. Under old business, we have none, so we'll move on to new business. Our first item of new business is the consideration of the consent agenda. Mr. Bechtel?
It's a tough one to follow.
You can be just as effective, I'm sure.
Good afternoon, President Williams, members of the board, Dr. Michael. Today I have five items for your review. These items were reviewed by the Purchasing Review Committee and are being recommended for approval. And staff is available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the awards, renewals, and procurements for measures of academic progress testing to Northwest Evaluation Association at a cost of $106,987.50. Unit price contract for nursing and special education service providers to the vendors listed in the exhibit at the unit prices listed. Uniforms to BJ's Custom Creations and Super Shoes at the unit prices listed. Kitchen equipment for Boonesboro Middle School to MTS Equipment at a cost of $54,241. And uninterruptible power supply for S20 Commonwealth to Daily Computers, Inc. at a cost of $37,825.98.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second to Mr. Bickford's motion? Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. Any questions for Mr. Bechtel? Mrs. Fisher?
Item 2, the unit price contract for nursing and special education service providers. Is that strictly related to the special ed unit, or is that a result of the state mandate in the Safe to Learn Act?
That was something that we had worked with the special ed department. You know, they trying to find options for speech therapists, music therapy. You know, they were had come up blank on a couple, or not been able to fill some things in the past. So we were doing the nursing RFP. We had a nursing RFP in the past, and I said it just makes sense to kind of include them. There's a lot of companies that provide both. Staffing companies, so we put it out there, and we got a fairly good response from the vendors in the area.
Other questions? The vote is on Mr. Bickford's motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes awards, renewals, and procurements. All those in favor? Okay, 6-0. Student member concurs. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Second item for consideration is the donation to Williamsport Elementary School from the Williamsport Elementary School PTA and a donation to Marvinsville Elementary School. Good afternoon, Dr. Palmer.
We would like to request board approval for a donation in the amount of $12,500 to Williamsport Elementary from the PTA. Funds will be used to purchase materials for classroom libraries, art, media, music, our PE program, and to purchase additional school supplies for families and students in need. Morgansville would like to request the donation from Ahold Delays USA A+ Rewards, and they will also be using their funds to enhance classroom libraries and purchase books for students.
Thank you, Dr. Palmer. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve a donation in the amount of $12,500 to Williamsport Elementary School from the Williamsport Elementary School PTA, and approval for a donation in the amount of $4,631.32 to Morgansville Elementary School from Ahold Delays USA A+ Rewards 2018.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Any discussion or questions for Dr. Palmer? No? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the donations? Okay, 6-0. Student member concurs. Thank you, Dr. Palmer. Our next item under consideration is the appointment and reappointment of Washington County Board of Education's representatives to the Maryland Association of Boards of Educations, that would be MABES, Legal Services Association. Is there a motion?
Maryland Association of Boards of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gesford. Any questions, any discussion?
Just so I know, the representative is going to be Tony Trotta.
Yes, Mr.
And,
Trotta.
and then is it Williams? Okay,
And I would be serving as the alternate to Mr. Trotta, who will be the
okay.
representative. Call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, 6-0. Student member concurs. Thank you. Trotta, next thing on our agenda is the first reading of proposed changes to policy IKE, promotion and retention of students.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
The Policy Committee reviewed policy IKE at its public work session on February 28th, March 27th, June 27th, as part of its comprehensive review of the policy manual. The Policy Committee is recommending that certain stylistic changes be made to the policy and that it be placed in the updated format. It is also recommending that the title of the policy be changed to read Promotion, Acceleration, and Retention of Students. The policy has been reorganized and the terms acceleration and promotion have been defined in the policy. We are glad to respond to any questions about the proposed changes to this particular policy.
Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the first read of proposed changes to policy IKE entitled Promotion and Retention of Students.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. Sorry, Mrs. Murray, I barely heard you, I think. Oh, oops. Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. So the motion and second is to approve the first reading of proposed changes to policy IKE. All those in favor? 6-0, student member concurs.
Thank you.
And then that brings us to the first reading of another policy, proposed changes to policy INB, teaching about controversial issues, and in parentheses, political activities. Mr. Trotta?
Thank you. The Policy Committee reviewed this particular policy at its public work sessions on February 28th, March 27th, April 24th, and June 27th. This is also part of its comprehensive review of the policy manual. As indicated by the board president, the current title of this policy is Teaching About Controversial Issues, and it has in parentheses political activities. The Policy Committee is recommending that the policy be renamed as follows: Teaching About Political, Cultural, and Other Controversial Issues. The Policy Committee has also added a purpose clause to this particular policy, which they believe provides the necessary guidance as to what the purpose of this particular policy is. Once again, we welcome any questions about this particular policy and the proposed changes.
Thank you, Mr. Trotta. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the first reading of proposed changes to policy INB, which is entitled Teaching About Controversial Issues, Political Activities.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. Any questions?
Not a question.
Mhm.
Planned within the school to meet curricular goals. School activities of a political nature should have the goal of providing a balanced and objective information for students. There may come a time when a controversial issue or discussion falls outside of those listed, those things that are listed. And I don't want to have a policy that puts our instructors in a compromising position when they might have an opportunity to talk to kids and deal with kids about said issues. So it's just troubling to me in some respects, and I'll think about it a little bit more. And I'm going to vote for this, obviously, to move it forward since it's the first read. And I'll either get back to you, Tony, or I will bite my cheek and move forward.
Jackie's got a question.
Mrs. Fisher?
I'd like to ask Mr. Ridenour, are you suggesting that the words political and cultural are too limited, that it should be expanded more? Is that what?
I don't know. That's the problem. I can't quite, it's just something sticks in my craw for some reason, and I can't put my finger on it yet, and I want to think about it a little bit more, but I don't want our teaching staff to feel like they are hamstrung in any way. There's going to be, think about it, you have a lifetime of controversial issues in the last 3 months. So I don't want our teachers to feel like they've got to, they have to bite their lip and just ignore something that a student may wish to discuss that could be beneficial to everyone. So let me just think about it a little bit more, but understand that I may send something to you and I may just back off.
Anyone else? Okay, the motion is to approve the first reading of proposed changes to policy INB entitled Teaching About Controversial Issues, Political Activities. All those in favor? 6-0, student member concurs.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Michael.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Williams. The first part of our superintendent's report today will be to recognize some fundraising efforts for our Bowl for Kids' Sake, hosted by the Big Brothers Big Sisters. And at this time, I'd like to invite Tom Klein to come forward, CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I think he's going to be recognizing some schools, particularly Sharpsburg and South Hagerstown High School. And following their presentation, if those involved would meet Erin Anderson out in the lobby, she's going to take some pictures of our award winners today. So, Mr. Klein.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Michael, President Williams, and other esteemed Board of Education members. It really is our pleasure to be with you today. I'm Tom Klein. I'm the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Washington County, and I have some of my volunteers with me today. If you want to.
Good afternoon, President Williams, members of the board. I am James Zuna. I currently serve as the president of the board of directors for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Washington County. Thank you for having us today.
Good afternoon. I'm Justin Anderson, and I was the chair for the Bowl for Kids' Sake fundraiser this year.
So with over 140 business sponsors and nearly 80 bowling teams, our Hollywood Bowl for Kids' Sake raised more than $53,000 this year, which was amazing. We've not raised that much money in over a decade, so we were super excited about that. All of the funds that were raised stay here in Washington County and help us to and support our mission of providing one-to-one mentoring for kids. Our Bowl for Kids' Sake has been truly blessed by the ongoing support of Washington County Public Schools. 5 years ago, we began a friendly competition between the participating schools. The school that raised the most received the bragging rights and the coveted Bowl for Kids' Sake traveling trophy. I'm excited to share with you that the participating schools have raised nearly $19,000 over the last 5 years, which is absolutely amazing. And what a blessing for us and for the kids in our community. And we really cannot adequately express our appreciation for that support. For the first 4 years, the trophy found its home at Pangbourne Elementary School under the leadership of Eric Meredith. Going into this year, it was anticipated that the trophy would likely remain at Pangbourne Elementary School for a 5th year. However, this year there was a school that had set its sights on capturing the trophy. led by a very competitive Keith Allshouse at Sharpsburg Elementary School. They were able to raise $1,075, which took the top honors for the participating schools, and actually they were the 5th top overall fundraiser this year, which was incredible. At this time, we would like to congratulate Keith and his team at Sharpsburg Elementary School and present them with the trophy. So Keith, if you could come forward, please. The next trophy presentation we're here to make today is for the Community Service Club that raised the most money this year. This was a new friendly competition that we added this year, and we couldn't be happier for our recipient. With guidance from their adult advisor, Justine Keltz, who is one of the English teachers at South High, the South Hagerstown High School Key Club raised $670 to take the top honors this year. At this time, we would like to congratulate the South Hagerstown High School Key Club and ask Taylor to come forward to receive the trophy. And Taylor is the incoming president of the South High Key Club.
The last several years of Bowl for Kids' Sake have been among the most successful fundraisers that we have had with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Washington County, particularly in the last decade. So much of that success has come from the increased participation and the donations received through the Washington County Public School System. So I just wish to thank all of the schools, all of the participants for the last number of years in participating, and look forward to seeing the competition become even greater next year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, our next presentation, we're going to have an update on our Autism Life Skills and Summit programs, just kind of in general about special education. Our presenters are Dr. Gladhill and Dr. Pugh, but I see a whole row of special educators there in the back right-hand side that could also answer questions. I think we've decided to schedule a work session on October 2nd. I think the time is from 1 to 3. It's tentative at this point. To dig deeper into our special education program and the services that we have for children. Certainly our goal is to educate every child that comes through our doors. And special education population is a portion of those children, and we support them in a wide variety of ways. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Pugh and Dr. Gladhill to share a little bit of an update, and then we're certainly open to questions and comments that you have about their presentation, and then any information that you might specifically want to see for October 2nd. And obviously, we have more time to gather information for that presentation.
Good afternoon, President Williams, Dr. Micro, members of the Board of Education. I am pleased to have the opportunity to provide a brief overview of our Autism, Life Skills, and Summit programs. And if people could bear with us, I think,
You're up.
Okay. These specialized programs were designed to meet the individual education program requirements for children with disabilities who cannot make adequate progress in their general education classroom with supplementary aids and services. WCPS programs were developed based upon research and a review of promising practices across the state. Our programs assist in eliminating significant disproportionality, which is a new state requirement mandated through the federal government. Significant disproportionality is defined as having a risk ratio of over 2.0. A risk ratio of 2.0 means that the student subgroup would be twice as likely to be present or identified in a specific area. Risk ratio is measured for each disability category of intellectual disability, specific learning disability, emotional disability, speech or language impairment, other health impaired, or autism based on each race and ethnicity in the areas of placement, out-of-school suspension, in-school suspension, and identification. This adds 168 new areas to monitor and provide strategically focused and proactive support for paraprofessionals, teachers, and administrators. WCPS is required to provide a free, appropriate public education for all students in the least restrictive environment. A good question that assists teams in defining the least restrictive environment is, what does the student require that cannot be implemented in the lesser restrictive setting but could be provided in the more restrictive placement? Least restrictive environment is addressed through all three components of the Maryland State Department of Education Strategic Plan for Special Education in the categories of early childhood, our birth to kindergarten programs, access, equity, and progress, our delivery of specially designed instruction to each student, and secondary transition, the transitioning of students graduating or exiting with a certificate of program achievement into college or the workforce. This strategic plan was developed through a partnership of stakeholders throughout Maryland in order to narrow the achievement gap for students with disabilities. The symbol you see there is actually on that plan and communicated through many websites across the state. A free appropriate public education refers to the special education and related services that are provided to all eligible students at public expense so students can make educational progress. A free appropriate public education was recently reframed with the Supreme Court case Andrew F. This case further clarified that the individualized education program is to be reasonably calculated so that each child makes progress in light of his or her circumstance. A continuum of services includes a multi-tiered system of support. The state requires us to list our continuum of services publicly. These services are provided ranging from placement in a general education classroom 100% of the time to being placed into a non-public placement. A continuum of services is also required for us to provide assurances to the Maryland State Department of Education prior to receiving federal funds, and it was included in our local application of federal funds that you approved this spring. Offering a continuum of services assists the district in meeting the special education indicators required and measured annually by the state. These indicators are in addition to the new significant disproportionality requirements. Life Skills programs are designed for students not currently working towards a diploma and allow for specially designed instruction to occur throughout the day and to be adapted as needed. Certified teachers receive ongoing specialized professional development in many areas, including but not limited to applied behavior analysis, better known as ABA, and treatment and education of autistic and related communication handicapped children, which is more commonly known as the TEACH program out of the University of North Carolina. Benefits of Life Skills programs include the ability for teachers to implement individualized education program goals and instruction aligned with the Maryland College Career Ready standards, but adapted to meet the learner at his or her instructional level. Students are able to access classes with non-disabled peers and participate within authentic work experiences upon each student's individual strengths and needs, and a lot of these experiences are actually in the community. Placement in Life Skills is reviewed annually and through targeted instruction. Students have the opportunity to break through and start working towards a diploma track while optimizing post-secondary outcomes for each student. Students in Life Skills participate in the multi-state alternative assessment. A score of a 3 or a 4 is considered to be proficient. Our numbers of elementary and middle school students scoring a 3 or a 4 is increasing from 2016 to 2017 and demonstrates good progress. 2017 assessment results in elementary English language arts proficiency is 37.5%, which is above the state average of 30.9%. Elementary math proficiency is 37.5% compared to the state average of 38.4%. Middle school English language arts proficiency is 56%, which is above the state average of 31.8%. Middle school math proficiency is 57.3%, which is above the state average of 38.3%. Regarding our high school results, high school English language arts proficiency is at 73.7%, which is above the state average of 42.2%, and our math proficiency is 73.7%, which is above the state average of 44.2%. We have recently adopted the name of Reaching Independence Through Structured Environments for our students with acute sensory communication impairments and/or autism requiring more individualized support and structure to make progress. It is important to note that we have students with autism and life skills programs and may have students with other disabilities in our Reaching Independence Through Structured Environments programs as well. These programs increase our students' ability to be included into general education classes and their ability to generalize social skills into authentic and new environments. The program also supports and provides real-time professional development to teachers and school staff. Students within this program would typically be working towards a diploma. One of the strongest benefits of the Reaching Independence Through Structured Environments program is working to maximize the independence of our students. This is conducted through the provision of equitable access to non-disabled peers where progress is closely monitored to anticipate and implement solutions to potential barriers in a collaborative manner with our school staff, parents, and outside providers. Summit programs provide students with access to a continuum of supports while having full access to their general education classroom, highly qualified instruction, and optimal access to non-disabled peers. These programs are supported by research, and we are often asked to present at state-level meetings on associated best practices. Program supports are designed to provide teachers with ongoing support and training, while providing direct social emotional support to students. Students are making educational and social emotional progress through the efforts of teachers, social workers, board-certified behavior analysts, paraprofessionals, and specialized training that is received. Summit programs provide invaluable services to students and resources for teachers and staff working with students. We often see students who are unable to maintain in their home environment and are often placed by the Department of Social Services into a group home. However, these students are functioning well in our programs and show good progress with appropriate supplemental aids and services. Prior to implementing Summit programs, we were disproportionate with our number of special education students placed in home, hospital, public, private day, or residential facilities. This required us to allocate close to $750,000 to coordinate early intervening services, which has also required additional documentation, reporting, and auditing. Following the first year of implementation, we saw improved academic behavioral outcomes and became compliant with our state target of the percentage of students who were placed outside of our school system. According to the state census data, prior to implementing Summit programs, 7.08% of our special education students were placed in home, hospital, public, private day, or residential facilities. Following the first full year of implementation, this was reduced to 4.12%. The state indicator measures these placements was set at 5.94% for this past year in fiscal year 2017 with a decreasing trajectory, meaning it pretty much goes down each year in the future. During this year, we had 5.57% of our special education students in this indicator. With the increased complex needs of our student population, we need to continue with providing additional training and support for our teachers and our staff to support the increased needs of students that are not limited to special education or students within the Summit program. Parent training is also coordinated to increase the generalization of positive behaviors to the home environment and throughout the community. Proficiency from the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers is measured by a performance level score of 4 or 5. LEA 24 scores reflect outcomes of students who are placed in non-public schools outside of our school system, such as Lowell Hall School, Cedar Ridge, and the Jefferson School. The outcomes of our students placed within Summit programs show higher proficiency rates in both English language arts on the left and math on the right. Academic achievement and post-secondary success are major areas of focus, which program staff continually monitor with general and special education teachers to maximize quality instruction through content-certified teachers. This chart shows the initial academic success of students in the Summit program as compared to all other non-public placements following the first full year of implementation in fiscal year 2011. A high majority of students during this year were returned from non-public schools with our increased capacity to meet their social emotional needs in an inclusive setting. In subsequent years, many students receive Summit program support who would otherwise be educated in general education classrooms throughout the day. This is the outcome data of students broken down into 3 categories. On the left, return to a lesser restrictive environment means the student returned to their home school or were included in a comprehensive school throughout the day. Students in the middle column maintained and/or increased their time within a general education classroom with appropriate support. The column on the right is the percentage of students who needed to be placed in a more restrictive environment. Data is internally reviewed by each program to show promising practices and provide strategic support to build the capacity of staff and optimize student outcomes. While we continue to strive to ensure our students are able to experience success through Summit versus a non-public placement, we anticipate 100 students will be returning to Summit and 82 students returning to non-public school placements this coming school year. Non-public special education schools are not required to employ teachers who are highly qualified in the content area they are teaching. Many students are often educated in multi-grade, multi-subject classrooms, which dilutes the quality of instruction. We will continue to work with early childhood, pre-K teachers, and parents to build their capacity for increasing self-regulation skills in all students who reside in our county. As we move forward, expanding Summit programs will result in maximizing academic and post-secondary outcomes of students with disabilities. This will increase access to therapeutic services and improve the social, emotional well-being of all students. Enhancing specially designed instruction will further increase the capacity of teachers and student achievement on formative and state assessments in comparison with non-disabled peers while enhancing the growth of our students. At this time, we're happy to answer any questions you may have and to work collaboratively with you in the future work session Dr. Michael referenced.
Thank you. Questions, colleagues? Comments? We're saving our questions for the work session that's
Right.
upcoming.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A couple other things I'd like to mention. Continue to be amazed at our teaching staff, our administrative staff, and our educational support staff that are attending professional development. Had the opportunity to stop at a reader's workshop. Professional development this morning at Springfield. Looked like we had 80 or 90 teachers involved in that workshop today. Stopped at Eastern this morning also, math workshop, probably 25, 30 K1 and 2 teachers participating in that and administrators and ESP staff. Last week we had over 425 or so sign up for a Monday, Tuesday workshop that just went very well, followed by over 200 people participating in the Reader's Workshop on Wednesday and Thursday. And again, these are just a couple of the many workshops that are happening this summer. So it would appear right now we're going to exceed more than 2,500 educators, different sessions that they will attend this summer. I just think that that's going to speak well of our staff. It's going to be excellent preparation for the future of our students. Pre-K enrollment, just kind of an advertisement plug. If you have a child that qualifies particularly for income eligible for pre-K enrollment, we do have pre-K at every school in Washington County. We do have a number of programs that are not full. We're doing our very best not to turn away any income eligible students. And at some point, if your name is on a waiting list and you're not income eligible, but you're interested in pre-K, we'll start accepting those students to the pre-K programs and fill them to capacity. Probably the last reminder I would have would be we're still encouraging children to read this summer. If you don't have one of the posters from your local school, get one of those posters and fill in the variety of books that you've read. Molly, yes, this would help you. I'm sure you're a reader. Fill that in, and or if you haven't got an iPad from your school and take advantage of our online library, you can still do that at this point. And we're looking forward to our Lit Fest, which is Thursday, August 23rd, here in our building from 5 to 7, where we'll celebrate and have some prizes for some of our summer readers. So, and probably the very last comment I want to make is welcome Chris officially to his new role here with the board. So with that, Ms. Williams, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. Next on the agenda is personnel action. Dr. Bishop.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams, Dr. Michael, and board members. As discussed earlier in closed session, there are several staff changes for your review. At this time, I ask for your approval for today's personnel actions.
Thank you, Dr. Bishop. Is there a motion?
Move to approve personnel actions.
Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Any questions, any discussion? Motion is on the approval of recommended personnel changes. All those in favor? 6-0. Carries.
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Bishop. Okay, next on the agenda is reports to the board, board member committee reports. Shall we start with curriculum and instruction?
We have not met this month and will not be meeting until the end of August.
Thank you. Facilities?
Facilities has a planned meeting August the 21st. At this time, if things change, we'll let the board know.
Thank you, Mr. Gessford. Finance Committee?
We have not met this month, but we do also have a meeting scheduled for late August.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Human Resources?
Same. We will be meeting at the end of August.
Thank you, Mr. Ridenour. Policy Review and Development Committee, Mrs. Fisher.
The Policy Committee met on June 27th to finalize changes to IKE and INB, which were the two policies that passed on first read earlier this afternoon. We also reviewed a number of recently made new state mandates that will either require changes to existing policies or new policies to be created. And we will start work on some of those at our next meeting, which is July the 24th at 9:15.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Anything else? Anyone have anything else? Reports? Okay, under miscellaneous business, future agenda items. We have a list of future agenda items that were included, the list was included in your packet. In August, we have a presentation on the Maryland Food Bank School Pantry Program, the District Assessment Committee, which I believe is a new committee that's part of ESSA, and the quarterly health care updates. That's not scheduled for the 7th, but sometime in August. Then in September, discipline, in-school suspension, and out-of-school suspension. And then in November, another quarterly health care update. If you have any suggestions for agenda items, please let a member of the Agenda Planning Committee know. We have a work session coming up that Dr. Michael mentioned in October. And please keep your 12-month, or yes, your 12-month calendar handy. It changes nearly weekly or every other week. So keep the most recent one marked and handy because dates and times are changing. So that's all I have for future agenda items. So that brings us to board member comments. I'd like to begin by echoing Dr. Michael's welcome to our student member, Christopher Mackley. It's nice to have you with us, Christopher. We look forward to our work together.
Thank
So,
you.
Giving up your summer day, summer afternoon to be here, be diligent. We appreciate that very much. Mr. Ridenour, would you like to begin?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mrs. Fisher?
Nothing particularly. I did visit the Ag Expo the other day. It's my first experience actually down there, and it's very interesting. I'd recommend it to, anyone looking for something to do. It's nice rides, lots of food, displays.
Gessford?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Bickford?
Nothing from me.
Mrs. Murray?
Now, I just want to say that I've also been at the Ag Expo, and I'm just amazed at what the kids especially are doing with their animals, and they're showing their animals, and it's been great fun. And I've volunteered in the ice cream booth, which is the only place at the Ag Expo that's air conditioned. So that was a smart move on my part. And I'll be there a couple of times this week, and I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you. Mr. Mackley?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you to all my fellow board members for welcoming me to my new position. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm excited to start advocating for the students of Washington County. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So, if no one has anything further, we'll adjourn. Meeting adjourned.